Hello everybody, welcome to a very special episode of Same Industries, where today we're going to be watching a couple of movies. I'm here with Mabeanie.
Yep.
And we are watching no less than the Breakin movies, both Breakin and Breakin 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yep.
The reason we're watching them is because we used to say Boogaloo, Electric Boogaloo, 2 Electric Boogaloo on literally everything, and we still kind of do, at least I do. And so one day, or one year, Mabeanie, for my birthday, decided to buy me both films, and so that we could watch them. But, you know, as interested as I was in a film about breakdancing in the 80s, I never got around to it, but we decided finally today, in the year of our Lord 2021, we are going to review it. We're going to watch both films and review it.
Yes.
So yeah, we've actually already watched the first one. We just finished watching the first one, Breakin. We haven't shared our thoughts and feelings on the film yet. But yeah, we're doing this. This is just a random one-off movie podcast.
Yeah.
So Mabeanie, what did you think of the 1984 hit Breakin?
I liked it.
Yeah?
My favorite bit was the music. I love those chants. That was so good.
It was very, very 80s.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing I can say about this film is like, if you want a film that's very 80s vibe, look no further than Breakin. Starring, of course, Lucinda Dickey, Adolfo Shabadoo Quines, Michael Boogaloo Shrimp Chambers, and Breakin, where Breakin was born. It's the classic film that started it all. That's what the box says. We have the
DVDs.
Physical DVDs here.
They're like remastered 2009 or something like that.
Yeah, the boxes look like they're from the 2010s, but the films are from the 80s. Apparently, Breakin' 2 was released in 1985, the year after this one. And as you're saying, at the end of the film, it actually said, "Stay tuned for part 2, Electric Boogaloo." And I was like, what? They knew there'd be a 2? Apparently, yeah. I guess it's kind of split into 2. I also kind of liked it.
Yeah.
Not in like it was a good film kind of way, because it was bad.
It was just fun to watch.
It was fun to watch.
Yeah.
I think my main consensus... Here's the thing with, in my opinion, with any piece of art or media, is what's the intent, right? What's the purpose of this? And did it fulfill that purpose? And I think the purpose of this film was to spend, 85 minutes or something like that, 83 minutes, sorry, I keep referring to the box, of just dancing. Just a lot of break dancing, a couple of jazz dancing.
I thought they were showing us what dancing's all about and that sort of stuff. What the value of dance and all that.
I mean, that was the kind of underlying message, but like the whole purpose of the film is just to show off some dance moves. And that's all it does, really. It's like there's like a minute of story and then like 3 minutes of dance and then just rinse and repeat over and over and over again.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And I think that's the point of the film, and as a result, it did it perfectly. If you just want to see some people dancing,
yeah,
it's great for that.
There were some bit. I don't think the dancing was always as great as I was hoping it was going to be.
Right.
I think that a lot of the dancing was start-stoppy, but maybe that's just like I'm an outsider looking at it saying, well, this is what I think it should be.
I know nothing about dance, and the way I saw it was like sometimes they would do moves where I'm like, oh, that's pretty impressive, and sometimes they did moves I'm like, oh, that's not very impressive, but I guess there's more to it than I think.
Yeah. And
like, but I figure as someone who doesn't know anything about dance, like, I don't know, it's probably pretty impressive and interesting. You know, it seemed a bit for me personally, I'm like, oh man, I wish it was like synchronized a bit better. And sometimes their moves just kind of look like that they were just kind of idling, like just kind of moving their hands around, waiting for the next dance move that's kind of big and interesting to happen. Yeah. But again, I don't know anything about breakdancing. This is the first time I think I've ever paid attention to it for more than 30 seconds. I know they did the spin thing, and that's about it. They do a lot of these almost like robot-like moves, you know, the robot.
Yeah. There was a sort of a thing that I noticed about... I think it was only in one of the scenes. It was the sort of like the training scene where Ozone and Turbo are teaching Kelly how to become a great dancer.
Yeah.
Or at least a great street dancer. And her movement was a lot more smooth and flowy when she got good.
Right.
Their movement was a lot more rough.
She looks
and I
like...
thought that was supposed to be like a difference between masculine and feminine dance.
Potentially. I think it's because it's sort of a mix between the jazz dance and the break dance, because that's what she was trained in. The acting was horrendous. However, you know, none of them are actors, so what does it matter? This is what I mean by, like, the film focuses on the strengths, and the strengths is they just want to dance.
Yeah.
And they want to show this dance in film form, and that's what they did. And every now and then when they're actually, like, trying to act and pretend to have emotions or deliver lines, you're like, oh my god!
Yeah.
You're like, Jesus Christ, just you might as well hold the script in your hand while you're at it. But, you know... That's not the point of the film.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a critique for sure, but like that, again, that's not why you watch this film. No. I think the two reasons you watch this film is, one, you're really interested in breakdancing. Two is that you really just want a taste of the 80s, at which point this really does it. They got their hairstyles, they got the hairstyles, you know, the color, the music, the clothes, the way that they talk. They say fresh a lot. That's very fresh.
Yeah. One of the things that I noticed a lot, and it was probably just because like Kelly's supposed to be this attractive young lady, there was a lot of sexual harassment. Holy crap.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking that a lot of people, basically every single male character, apart from the one character who is queer-coded, attempts to hit on the main actress, Kelly, I believe was the character's name. Yeah. I think that's you.
Yeah, so like Kelly's the main girl, and then you got Ozone, and you got Turbo. Yeah. James is her agent. I think that's all the and Franco was like the bad guy teacher. Man.
Yeah. Speaking of just the story, it really does actually kind of feel like that the Electirc Boogaloo actually does seem like it might be a second part, because the structure was kind of weird.
I don't feel like we really hit a climax.
No, well, so here's basically what that happens in the story. Spoilers for Breakin, the film from 1984. Basically, there is this woman named Kelly who is into jazz dancing, but she wants to kind of do something more with the dance. Then one of her friends introduces her to Ozone and Turbo, and then she's very interested in their break dancing. And then she joins their group after they got
beat by
Electro Rock. They got beaten by Electro Rock, which was another break dance group consisting of two men and a female. And so they're like, we need a female dancer as well to school them, and then that's why Kelly joins. Kelly also has her old instructor was a pervert. Really? He just kept hitting on her and like very uncomfortably. And anyway, he kind of becomes the villain.
But he was like obviously a very serious dancer, and
he
seemed to.
He's professional.
Look, maybe it was an accident the way that they wrote him, but he came across like he was, like he knew more about street dancing than he actually.
I didn't feel like that at all. I think he's just an elitist. He's just like, all those street dancers, they're nothing. I
suppose like that's the bit that they got sort of right with Franco and Ozone, is that they're like on the opposite sides. Like Ozone's like all about the streets and doesn't want to have anything to do with the professional scene. Franco's all about the professional scene, doesn't want to have anything to do with the streets. Yeah. And Kelly's trying to bring him together to make magic happen.
Well, Kelly wants that, like she
feels right in the street scene, but she's more.
No, I think she just recognizes their talent in the breakdancing, and that the world needs to know about this talent.
Right.
I think is the idea, and so that she really wants them to show it off and enter this dance show. So they do this whole thing where like they try and get an audition, and then they do, and then they aren't allowed to perform, but they perform anyway, and then all the judges are absolutely starstruck, and then they're in the show, and then they dance, and then the film ends. That's just kind of what happens.
I feel like we're at the halfway point of that.
Well, that's exactly it. That's why I think Breakin 2 might kind of follow through with those, because there's like a few things, like there was obviously like Kelly and Ozone. There was they're obviously going to be romantically involved at some point, but that was never really resolved necessarily. One of the things I found quite interesting is how fast paced the film was. There are so many scenes where you think you kind of just have to piece together what happened. Like with that, like that when they went to the audition, Kelly and Ozone were on the beach, and Ozone's like, "You don't understand. I don't want to dance for fame. I just want to do it because it's my life or whatever." And then he's like, "I want to show you something." Then he shows Kelly these people dancing. Doing breakdancing and how happy and free and whatever they are, and she's like, "Oh, I get it now," or something. And then the very next scene, they're all going to the audition, and I'm like, wait, I thought that he was trying to convince her that they don't need to go to the audition, and instead they're just kind of there. But you kind of just shrug and go, whatever. Who cares about the plot? It's about the dancing. This is what I mean. That's what the plot is so loosely tied together. Like on one scene at the beginning, like her friend is like recommending the agent, I think, and then like later on, the agent and her are acting like they're great friends, and he's like, they've had like 2 scenes together. What's going on?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that's because like she's really excited and he's trying to hit on her. That's the problem.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of time skips. And a lot of like scenes that are just kind of cut short or feel like they are.
Yeah.
But again, it feels like it's just so it can get to. It's just to get to the dance scenes. And I know I keep repeating myself, but this is really all this film is.
It's all about the dance.
It's not about the acting. It's not about the story or the plot or the scenes, the cinematography. In fact, actually, I thought the cinematography was pretty kind of a disservice.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the dance moves are full body moves, right? Like you can't really get the full picture unless you're seeing the entire body, and there's too many like close-ups of like medium shots or whatever from the waist up and stuff.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of work with the
I think some of the breakdancing moves, the hand movement is just kind of weird to see without the leg movement. Because sometimes I'd see them doing the feet, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's impressive, I get it. And then when you just see their hands, you're just like, what are you doing with your hands?
Yeah.
Just being a weirdo, you know? So you kind of have to see the whole body, and for the most part, you got that, but sometimes it's just like, I don't know. And I do wonder, just because of the nature of film and, editing and stuff, if, the dances might not have flowed together as well as they might have if you were, like, in there in person or something.
Yeah.
I was never like very impressed by the dancing. There are bits and bobs I'm like, oh yeah, but for the most part, I don't know. I wasn't like those old judges who were like, we don't want you here, and then they're like, oh, I get it now. I wasn't like that at all. I'm just like, oh, okay. I mean, I respect it. I respect all dancing because I don't understand the medium as a whole.
Yeah.
So I just have a neutral respect for it. I mean, I could probably pull off actually 0 of all the moves they had, but weird.
I feel like I might do my back end trying to do any of those.
Yeah, too old for it now. Some of the moves they do when they're like bouncing up and down with their hands and shit, I'm like, oh my god. Yeah. I think the most impressive dance for me personally in the whole thing was the guy on crutches.
Yeah,
who just kept finding ways to like move his body around without actually having his legs touch the ground, which was incredible.
I was questioning whether he was actually disabled, like what was wrong with his legs.
I don't
because
know.
like he could move them.
He was kind of swinging him around.
Yeah, that's what, they were swinging them around. So
yeah,
but they were like he was help. Yeah, I don't know, whatever he was doing. That was pretty cool that he could do that.
But that was really the most impressive thing about it. I don't know. What else is there to this film?
But we could go into more of the writing stuff.
What writing stuff? There's no writing stuff. It was all awful.
I wouldn't say it was awful. I think it could have been worse. I mean, the acting wasn't very good.
No.
The writing was pretty basic.
I think that they go hand in hand. Some of the writing sounded like it was supposed to sound natural, but when you actually say it out loud, it doesn't sound natural at all.
At least some of the scenes they didn't say one another's name all the time. I thought that was a bit more casual, and that was fine.
Sure. I
So
just
it
noticed.
took me until halfway through the movie to work out what everyone's name was.
Yeah, me too. Honestly, they only say him like once or twice. Then you're like, what? Huh? What was that? His name was Ozone. I didn't.
Yeah.
It's like.
I was hoping at the end of the movie that they would do like little like freeze frames of this, such and such as such and such.
That would have been good.
That I would have been happy with. I loved the intro to the movie. It was so good. With like the spray can.
That was really funny. Yeah, they have this
and then
person
like putting on the costumes. That was awesome.
spray canning over a wall, and then some edited text appears on it. It's very funny.
And like how like Ozone's putting on his costume or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't take any hints. You know, I wouldn't study this film either for good filmmaking or bad filmmaking.
Yeah.
I think, you know, it's a service and it delivers. It's like, you want to watch a film about breakdancing? I can't recommend anything other than Breakin. Maybe West Side Story. I just found it really funny. In the agent's office, there was a poster for West Side Story, and every single time they were in the office, the camera was positioned in a way that you could always see the poster. Like, all right. I don't know anything about West Side Story, but I just find that really funny. I mean, the plot was very like loosely strung together. Like I didn't really
At least you could follow it.
It was just followable.
Yeah.
Like for instance, the rival gang, Electric Rock people. You couldn't even tell like who they were and what scenes they were in until they were gone, basically. Where like for some reason they're just driving past the main character's store that they work at, and they just decide that they're going to park and come up and challenge them to a duel. You know, and I'm like, oh, okay, sure. It's like, what? This is a strange scene, but it's immediately preceded by Turbo, you know, dancing with a broom. Yeah, and the broom with red strings on it.
That was a good scene.
I thought it was funny.
That was good. Best character and worst character.
In terms of what?
In terms of the characters in the movie.
Like, as in my favourites? Or the ones that I thought did the best jobs?
Yeah, the ones that did the best job as a character.
I thought that the villain character did a pretty good job of being particularly nasty and dislikable. You know, that can be hard to pull off. Coming across as like quite a... Because he really put it, like his facial expression was very punchable. Yeah. And you really were like, this guy, you know, get away from me. Yeah. You were audibly saying, get away from her, you freak. Yeah. Something along those lines. In terms of the worst, I don't know, probably Turbo. No, not him. The other guy, the guy who was doing the jazz dancing with her, and the guy who's kind of queer coded.
I didn't catch his name.
Yeah, I didn't either. I think his acting was the worst by far. Yeah. Because he had some of the first opening lines, and I was immediately like, "Oh my god."
The one where he was like by the car door, and he kind of dramatically got it.
That whole scene was just like, "Oh my god, am I watching a child's play?" Yeah. And Turbo's was fine actually. I kind of liked the way Turbo's character was in that he's just kind of always dancing. You notice even in scenes where he wasn't like doing anything, he was still kind of moving and jiving around. There was a bit of comedy too, and basically all the comedies just resulted in smash cuts, which is interesting. Like literally, I'm thinking of all the jokes, and all of them were smash cuts.
There were jokes
where it's like, sorry, we're looking for a tall blonde, and so it smash cuts to her in a blonde wig with heels on, you know? Or it's like, no, you'll never be able to convince Ozone to do it, and then it smash cuts to them all dressed up in the suits. Those are the jokes. Okay. So I had to point them out for you, I suppose.
Yeah. I think I recognized like the blonde one at the time. Like, it's like, oh, you want me to be blonde? Sure, I'll be blonde. Yeah. They're like, yeah, what?
I don't even understand why they didn't want to. It's like...
They didn't want to say, we don't... Like, what I didn't like is that, like, the good guys weren't, like, really questioning the establishment and saying, why do you think that this is the case? Why do you think that we shouldn't be involved? Right. So you never really got to hear a good argument for why there should be different classes.
Racism.
No, because the girl's trying to
That's
get
true.
her. She was white, so
Look, I get what you're saying, and I can totally see that. That's these days, particularly if a film like this was made, I'm sure a lot of people would be interested in
Hearing your rational
digging
arguments.
further into the classism. Is it classism? Is that what it's called?
yeah.
Yeah. Personally, again, I kind of appreciate that it's really mainly about the breakdancing.
Because it's a celebration of
Yeah.
breakdancing.
It's a celebration of all dance, and that's the thing as well. They didn't drag down other dancing or anything like that. With the villain, he's the jazz dance. Is that what it's called? Jazz dancing?
I have no idea.
He said jazz at one point.
That's what the judge said. He was
yeah.
like, "We're looking for jazz dancers."
Yeah, that's where I got it from. And but they never kind of show jazz as like an inferior form of dance, just a different one. And I like that.
He just confused me with that by saying jazz dancing. I'm like, where's the jazz music?
Yeah, I mean, jazz music is completely different. In fact, you don't even dance to jazz. I don't know. Look, we're showing our ignorance here. That's why I'm trying to stick.
Or maybe
to what I
they
know.
played something like that in Franco's scene where he did his dance, because he was really good. You could see that, but he was a bit over dramatic as well.
Yeah.
But he was trying to teach her. It's all about the emotion. It's all about like giving yourself to the dance. And then he took it too far.
Yeah.
Um,
Made out with her.
yeah, and that was awful.
Not consensually.
No,
At least they didn't try and paint him like the hero.
no.
Have you ever seen Rocky? Rocky basically just like assaults this woman.
Okay.
There's this scene where like she's like very uncomfortable and shy, and he kind of basically forces her into his apartment
Oh.
to like make out with her and stuff, and she's very uncomfortable the whole time. And I was like, this is so not okay.
Yeah.
This is very bad.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Maybe that was just like 80s movies.
well, that's
It's
why
like,
I'm saying-
they're clearly uncomfortable. Why are they not talking
Well, that's why
about
I'm
it?
saying that those characters who did that kind of stuff are shown as the villains in this film. So it's because quite a few people are like, oh man, that Kelly character, who boy.
Maybe people were talking about it, but no one was like really doing something about it to say this is not okay.
I don't know, man. I wasn't even born.
No.
I was born in 1996.
Franco has he's like, you got to give yourself to the dance. You got to put all your emotions into it. And Ozone believe the same thing. Like you can see Ozone's like really
Yeah.
pushing to make all the moves, big moves, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Electro Rock were also like really pushing it. They were really trying to go like, we're gonna beat you in this dance.
Right.
Those sorts of, and all the moves they were trying to put on. And then they brought that girl in, and like she was really going for it as well. And so that's where it's impressive. They're really pushing for it, but it doesn't make the dance any better. I don't think.
Well,
I think it helps, but it doesn't really maximize it. You can overdo it.
maybe. I don't
But
know.
yeah.
I don't know that much about dance. Again.
Final thoughts. I enjoyed the movie. I had a lot of fun watching it. I really love the music. I wanna like download a soundtrack.
Really?
and-
Wow. I thought
Or
it was.
listen to like Thriller by Michael Jackson ever again.
It doesn't have
Listen.
Thriller in it.
No.
Maybe just thought it sounded like Thriller.
Yeah, it's like do 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 do. all
Yeah,
that
the
sort of
soundtrack
stuff.
is probably one of the most 80s soundtrack you'll ever hear in your
It's got a lot
life.
of bops and beats. It's nice.
Personally, I will not be downloading the soundtrack. I think it was fun, but it's not my cup of tea exactly.
No, I could probably play that whole thing at work, and we could get a lot of work done.
Sure.
Be like,
You're going to break out into a flash mob.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, so yeah, I thought it was good as well. It's good fun. Will I watch it again? Probably not.
No, I probably wouldn't watch it again. It didn't have any like. Probably what I always look for in movies is like an interesting story with like good lines or interesting moments or something like that. That's the stuff I look for. And this isn't that sort of movie.
I've been thinking recently about what I really like in certain stories, and for me, it's interesting concepts with good executions.
Yeah.
That's kind of one of my biggest things. This wasn't exactly that, but I think again for what it is, it does it very well. It's a breakdance movie, and if you're like, man, I just feel like watching a good 80s breakdance movie, then maybe Breakin's the one for you. I don't know. So, that being said, we didn't do this for the first film, because we didn't really have the sounds necessary, so to speak, but what do you expect for Breakin 2 Electric Boogaloo? Now, am I incorrect in saying that Breakin was received pretty well, but Breakin 2 Electric Boogaloo was not? Is that right?
I think that's the idea. That's what I saw at the Wikipedia page. And so from what I've heard, from what I've read on the Wikipedia page, Breakin 2 Electric Boogaloo was awful, and that's the joke. That's like why people say Electric Boogaloo.
Right.
Is because like it's awful.
See, so my expectations...
But if they made them back to back, it can't be that bad.
Well, the way I see it is like, I don't think Breakin's a very good film either. I mean, like, as a film. But I think to myself, like, as long as it does the same thing, which is just a lot of dancing, how can it, you know, fail?
How can it be that worse?
How can it be that bad? This might be our final, our famous last words. How bad can it be? But seriously, like, I don't think Breakin was like any kind of masterpiece or anything like that. But I think if Breakin 2 is just more of the same, which is a pretty low bar, if I'm going to be honest with you, how could it be sizably worse? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Regardless, we'll see you in just a couple of seconds for our review after we watch Breakin 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yay.
Yay, alright. Okay, hey, welcome back. We just finished watching Breakin 2 Electric Boogaloo, the 1985 hit. Finally, after all this time, we can say we have watched Breakin 2 Electric Boogaloo. Probably something that I imagine a lot of people cannot say they've done. So that's something. So, Mabeanie, what did you think?
I liked it.
Breakin 2 Electric Boogaloo. You liked it?
Yeah.
You enjoyed it?
It was enjoyable in a different way to the first one.
It was way more different than I thought.
So there were a couple of things that I think they went bigger with Breakin 2 Electric Boogaloo. That's the obvious thing that they did.
They did.
Dancing in the streets, they had a lot more people
There was
involved.
tons of people. The very first like dance sequence, there's like
They just danced in the street.
100 people
Heaps of
dancing in
people.
the
Holy
street.
crap.
Yeah, they had that big crowd at the end. But I think they certainly turned up the zaniness, and it's much more over the top. They're far more experimental.
Yeah.
I would say that it was very fun. Like if you just want like a fun movie that's just kind of nonsense, I would recommend it. I don't see why people think it's so much worse than the first film. It's different. It's got its strengths and weaknesses, you know. The acting's still not very good. There's a lot of questionable choices and stuff, but it's like comparatively to the first one, you know, as a film individually, I can kind of see why, you know, I wouldn't recommend this to probably anyone still.
No.
But comparatively to the first one, it's a different taste, but it's the same flavor. Does that make sense?
I think the dancing's better in Breakin 2 Electric Boogaloo.
It's less frequent. That's something I noticed. Yeah. I noted when we were watching the first one.
There was a scene in Breakin 2 Electric Boogaloo where
the guy was dancing on the walls in the scene.
No, yeah. So the guys from Electro Rock came to like the show, whatever it was.
At the end.
No, like early on in the movie.
When they go underneath the
bridge.
bridge.
And it was having like they ended up having almost a punch up in the crowd. And they didn't have a dance off. I'm like, why aren't they having a dance
there's
off?
a lot more like violence.
Yeah, it's like weirdly more violent film.
They did go down under the bridge to have a dance off. That was very intense.
That was actually
that scene was kind of ridiculous.
That was a dance off that I thought wasn't as good as it could have been.
Perhaps not, but that's the kind of, which is what I mean. But I think it's ridiculous in a kind of fun way.
Yeah.
Like, you can't pop in Breakin and Breakin 2 Electric Boogaloo and go, I hope this is a serious film and that I can learn something from it. You pop it in for some dumb fun, and honestly, it's got it. Like, there's a lot of pointlessness to it. Did you realize that? So there's a sequence where one of the Turbo he falls down some stairs and he breaks his arm and leg, and he goes to hospital. And then they break him out of hospital, and there's like a whole dance sequence in the hospital. Did you realize that there was no point for that scene to happen at all? There's literally nothing.
Apart from showing how committed he was to, but we already thought he was committed anyway.
Yeah, we did.
We never doubted his commitment.
His commitment wasn't in question. If anyone's commitment was, it was Kelly, and even she seemed pretty certain on it.
Well, she was being pushed to make decisions by everyone, and so.
Well, hold on. First off, I mean, we've already gone in pretty far.
So that's what the point of Turbo's thing was. It wasn't about Turbo. It was about Kelly.
Oh, that's true. Actually, yeah.
Because him going to hospital was the reason Kelly stayed.
Yes, that's true. She was like, I need to be there for my friends.
Yeah.
I want to say, by the way, I imagine that not a lot of people have seen this film, so we should probably explain what happens. So in the first film, it is about Kelly kind of finding out about this new dance form, and then really liking it and thinking that the world should see more of it, etc. This film is completely different. Okay, it's not really about the dancing as much as it is about a location. So
this one is kind of like the world loves street dance.
Yeah, that part's not really in question anymore. So despite what we thought, it actually does not serve as a part 2 to Breakin. Instead, it's like a couple years later, apparently.
Yeah.
It's a bit Ghostbusters 2 at the beginning, how the band split up in between films, and also she and Ozone were a relationship, but it doesn't properly explain.
It's like, they're close friends or something.
Well, the first thing that she did was kiss him on the lips, so I mean...
I was like,
so it's like a few years later, and Kelly's gone on to be a really successful professional dancer on stage, and Ozone and Turbo are still just kind of hanging out
in the streets.
Still, I guess, in the streets.
But I think they were there by choice. So they didn't really want to chase the pro
They didn't
scene.
want to do that. It kind of makes you wonder why they even bothered in the first place to be in the pro circuit. Anyway. But yeah, then Kelly comes... So we're introduced to Kelly's parents and family, whom are apparently rich, elitists, who are like, you shouldn't be doing all this dancing nonsense.
I think it was hinted at that in the first movie.
I don't think they mentioned that at all. She's also got a new agent, but I feel like... Were they calling her agent the same name?
No.
No? Okay.
So her agent in Breakin was James.
Right.
In Breakin 2, it was Stanley.
Oh, okay. Because I noticed that, literally only the 3 main characters were the continuing characters. Every other character in Breakin 1 are gone. I think one member of Electric Rock was back, the girl, but I don't think anyone else was.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, so she comes back to visit them, and it turns out that they're volunteering at this community center called Miracles.
Yeah.
But this mean old Mr. Moneybags wants to tear it down to build a shopping center, and as you can probably guess, then it's like a big... We'll put on a big show and gather a lot of money so we can save Miracles, the community center. And it's a very different... It's a different plot, but it's still the same kind of idea. There's a lot of dance sequences still inserted in between. I mean, that's basically it. I've just told you the whole plot right there. Believe it or not, at the end, they do make enough money. And they save Miracles, almost like a miracle.
You know what I think they could have done? They could have shown how they improved Miracles afterwards. But that's just like...
it's just structurally...
Because it's all about the dancing. That's what it's all about.
Well, because that was the other thing, is that the building is not structurally sound.
I'm not sure if I believe that. Because it seemed like...
It did kind of seem like
the city planner was being bribed, or there was a bit of corruption
she was
going on there.
But whatever, I mean, they still made the money. Was it $200,000 or something?
Yeah.
And, that's so they can then fix it up or whatever.
Yeah.
We're introduced to a few other characters as well that just work there. there's this. They never really resolved it. There was this other girl who loves Ozone, and their relationship isn't really.
I think she was supposed to be Ozone's girlfriend after Kelly went away for a
Was it
professional
after
career.
or beforehand? It's hard to say.
No,
Regardless, she has this beef with Kelly throughout the whole film, and it's never really resolved.
No.
The last thing they
have like a punch up, and
they
then
have
that's
like
the
a
end
punch up, and then the bulldozers come, and then that's just it.
We don't see.
Like, that was a
any-
weird arc. Why do they even address that? Like, I don't know.
That was one of the.
Kill-
It was sort of interesting in Breakin 1. It's all about all the boys are chasing after Kelly, and then Breakin 2, it's like all the girls are chasing after the other two boy characters.
Yeah, that's true. So yes, Turbo also gets a girlfriend, whom is she speaks Spanish, I believe,
Yeah.
but she bafflingly is dubbed
Oh yeah.
the whole
You
film.
pointed that out. You pointed that out in the hospital scene, where there's like,
She's-
they when they're breaking Turbo out, and
yeah, she breaks
you
him
can
out
hear
of
with a
prison.
dub.
It's
and watch
such an obvious dub, and it's like, what the fuck?
Why would you do that? Yeah.
And like, because I don't get, like, if she spoke, I'm presuming she speaks Spanish. I apologize, I'm not great at languages. If she speaks another language just like on set, because that's happened in films before, where an actor or an actress actually does speak another language, so they dub over them later. But why would you dub over her with Spanish? I don't know. It's just so
It wasn't
obviously
even.
dubbed, and
I
it's
don't think it was
confusing.
Spanish. I think that she was saying things with a funny accent.
No, it was a different
It
language.
was Spanish?
Yeah.
Right.
That hospital sequence as well was very strange. Basically, everyone in the hospital just gets up and dances,
Yeah.
including all the nurses and all the doctors and
Throughout the whole bit.
the people who are like have broken legs and stuff. They just jump up
They
and
get
dance.
better because of dance.
So this film is interesting in that I think there's a lot of imagination sequences. You were quite confused at a scene where they were dancing with a doll and it kept transforming into their
Yeah,
love
I'm
interest.
like, what the hell is
It's-
the meaning of this?
The meaning is that they are imagining the doll as the girls.
Yeah.
There's also quite an interesting dance sequence, where Turbo dances around the room.
Oh yeah.
He goes like on the walls and the ceiling, and it's actually quite impressive for 1985, in my opinion.
I reckon they put a lot of money into this one. Well, they must have
Oh,
because
definitely.
it's so much bigger than Breakin' 1.
The budget is way bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I gotta be honest, I don't really see what makes this film so bad. It's not a good film. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. I probably wouldn't even rate it very high, but for what it is, it's totally fine. It's 80s fun.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what it's just this kind of constant happy, fun, chill vibe for the most part.
Yeah.
Of just, you know, be yourself and relax and chill and look at all these crazy bright neon colors everywhere. And this 80s pop music and rap and hip hop and the dancing and the expressing yourself. It's just, you know, it's over the top. It's nonsensical, but like, why would you watch this film for anything else, right?
Another thing, so like we said that it's like it's more violent, but also you notice the costumes are darker and with studs and stuff like that. The leather's like a bit more ramped up,
Sometimes.
especially with Electro Rock because they had red and black, and they didn't
Well,
really
they-
have that in the first. Oh, there was darker colors with them in the first movie.
I definitely also, I think I like their outfits better in the first film.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like that. I can't really explain it. Though by the end of this film, they were wearing neon and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There was a lot of costume changes, which is interesting because Ozone had his iconic jacket and hat in the first film. He doesn't really wear them at all in this.
No.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of costume changes, I guess.
And you know what I'm gonna say? I honestly think that this film might be a little better than the first one.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of thinking of it as a whole. You know, I feel like they put the money to good use.
Yeah.
The extra money, and like they did have more interesting settings, and you know the script is still as generic as it could possibly be, and the acting is definitely, there's quite a bit to be desired, but I don't know, it's fine. I will say, when I was watching the first one, I was like, if you want to watch just people dance, watch the first one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily say that as much for this. I
I
say
think
if you want,
there's too many people to make the dancing worthwhile to watch.
yeah, plus also my complaint where it's like they weren't showing enough in the first film, kind of doubly so in this.
Yeah.
I feel like some, you know, they don't really focus on the dance moves as much. like the full body or anything, or individuals. And I feel like certain sequences feel dance sequences are a bit too long, and some of them are a bit too short. I don't know.
There's one thing that I wanted to see in Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo that they didn't do, and that was the new moves. They were talking about, we need to come up with some new moves, and then they didn't. Like,
that was just a throwaway line. But
I was kind of hoping for some new moves.
I mean, they might have been new.
But it's like, how do you have new moves? They're doing all the things. With, like,
I don't know, man.
In Breakin', I loved the intro. Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo took a little while to get going for me.
Really?
Yeah, it took about until the dancing in the streets.
I thought it kept the same kind of fast pace in the first one, and the dancing in the streets did not take long.
No.
They were like, and they were skipping, because like the first scene, Kelly like comes home to a mansion with her parents.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Why are you dancing?" And then it's back. The next scene is she is looking at a photograph, and then the very next scene she's at Ozone and Turbo's place. There's no like ringing or contemplating. She's just there, and it's like, that's what I mean. That's that kind of pace of just like a lot of stuff happens off camera, and you're just like, oh, all right, yep, we're doing this now. Okay.
Maybe it doesn't need to be looked into, that sort of stuff. Maybe it's just like, what do you need to know? She wants to be with her friends.
Yeah.
She misses those times.
Why? Yeah. I don't know. I really don't like the fact that I call it Ghostbusters 2 because that's what happens at the beginning of Ghostbusters 2, where they all broke up off camera.
I was thinking of Blues Brothers.
I haven't seen Blues Brothers.
So I might be confusing Blues Brothers and Blues Brothers 2000. But whatever one it is, guy gets out of prison and he's like, we gotta get the band back together. That's what it's all about. Well,
yeah, but I'm talking about like in between Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2, basically everything falls to shit.
Yeah.
The whole band breaks up.
Yeah.
The Bill Murray and Sigourney Weaver's character break up off camera. So they break up off camera so much so that she goes off and marries another man and then has a child with that man.
Oh, yeah,
in between the two films. And it's just like, what the fuck? It's not that intense, but I always refer to Ghostbusters 2 because I think it does it what's the worst.
Yeah.
It's very clear when you can tell that movies didn't have sequels in mind, and I gotta be honest, this kind of felt like that. The way that the first film ended made us feel like, oh, there's gonna be a part 2, but this isn't a part 2. This is just a different movie. It's just a new movie. I mean, it's still related, but
it's a continuation of the story.
It's not a continuation. It's a new story with the same characters. Like a continuation in a broad sense.
Yeah.
It's not a continuation of the story of the first film.
Because it doesn't really explain what happened in between the movies.
No, it doesn't.
Apart from Kelly had a professional career in dance and then she stopped.
Basically. She just went right back to her
And then she comes back and Ozone and Turbo have been sitting down the whole time.
Well, they've been helping out.
Yeah, they've been helping out, but it's like, they didn't really talk about how they didn't go with the professional stuff. But yeah. I guess...
Well, they never explained why they did in the first place anyway,
yeah.
So...
Well, because they wanted to help Kelly, I guess. They wanted to... You know, they liked her, they wanted her to have what she wanted, I guess.
Sure.
And, like, they really liked having her as part of TKO. So...
I think to myself, maybe the reason that we liked it is because we watched it just after Breakin'. Yeah. And I do wonder if I was to be like, if you've never seen Breakin' or you watched it a while ago and then you're like, maybe I should watch the second one. I really don't know if I could say that it's any like a good film. Enjoyed it. Like, I think it's fun. Again, 80s happy fun. There's just a lot of celebration and like, you know, a time of peace of sorts. That's how it feels, at least.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Of just like, I mean, obviously there's conflict and stuff in the film, but it's just got a nice, simple vibe, I guess. You know, gotta save the building, gotta figure out what's going on and get the money, and I mean, that's really the only conflict. The other conflict is, should Kelly stay? And it's like, well, obviously she's going to. That's the thing. Again, if you're looking for good storytelling, you're not gonna find it here.
No.
As soon as you find out what the plot of this film is, you figured it all out. It's like, Kelly's like, oh, I don't know if I should stay and help my friends or if I should go and pursue my career. And the other thing is, oh, I don't know, are we going to make enough money to save the building? What the fuck do you think?
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to be you're not getting surprised.
No. You
watch it just for the goofiness, I think.
And the dancing.
And the dance. Less so than the first film.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Breaking to Electric Boogaloo, if somebody just went in blind, they would probably find it.
I don't think a lot of people would
They'd be
enjoy
pretty
it.
shocked, I think. I learned a lot about dance.
Really?
Well,
Like
I mean, I probably hadn't looked at dance very much at all.
Yeah,
And now I've seen 2 movies about dance.
I suppose. I don't know. I don't really know if I'd say the second one is about dance. The first film definitely
The
is.
second one's just sort of like a...
Dance is sort of just like
Remake.
a thing that happens in the film.
Yeah.
A lot of dance numbers. They also ramp it up in terms of like I said, just anyone can dance as well. Like
Yeah.
when they're in the street scene, like there's like old ladies and stuff who are just getting
Yeah.
into it. It's just infectious, and everyone knows how to dance perfectly as well. Which is something that's like, that's not how that works, but all right, you know.
Yeah.
The first film was a little bit more realistic in that that was kind of the point, was that
Not everyone can dance as well as...
but they practice and they trained, right?
Yeah.
So, and they wanted to, and Kelly wanted to show that they're not just flailing their arms around,
Yeah.
like doing breakdancing.
They're really serious about
They're
it.
actually serious, and they're actually training and learning, and that's
Yeah.
why their dance is
No.
impressive and should be shown off.
Yeah.
While as in this film, like that idea is not really a thing. It's just like everyone can dance, basically.
Yeah. The movie is about some street kids trying to save miracles.
Yeah.
From like corruption and the businessman
Exactly. Mean old
while
businessman.
dancing.
You've seen this story a million times before, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
Don't know if I can recommend it, but at the same time, I kind of do, but I kind of don't. Like, there's no reason I think that you should stay away from this film, but at the same time, there's no reason I can think you should watch it, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, it's not good. You're not gonna learn anything. You're not gonna, whatever. You know, if I was to sit down and I was gonna pick out a film, I'd probably not pick these ever again. Like I've said, but I don't regret my time. I gotta admit, while I was watching before we watched them, I was kind of dreading it because I'm like, what if I just absolutely hate these? They're not supposed to be good films. Oh God, you know, what have I signed myself up for?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, maybe and that's the other thing. Maybe my expectations were so low that I was kind of
Yeah.
impressed as a result.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much what I was thinking of Breaking to Electric Boogaloo. I was thinking this is supposed to be the not good one, and I've just seen Breakin, and now I'm doubting the quality of Breaking to Electric Boogaloo as we're rolling through the first few scenes.
Yeah.
And then like I see what it has to offer, and
I was-
think,
yeah.
let's see more of this.
I was waiting for a point where I'm like, this sucks, you know.
Yeah.
But I never really got that. I mean, there were lots of bits where I'm like, that's dumb, or that's stupid,
Yeah.
or that's.
But
poorly
that's in
done,
both
or-
movies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other thoughts that you have on Breakin' to Electric Boogaloo, or final thoughts?
I enjoyed watching it. I think that it was good that they made a second one.
Yeah.
Well, I think that they got a lot more out of it.
They definitely
what they
didn't
wanted to do with Breakin.
didn't need to make a second one.
Well, no one needs to make a movie.
You know, I wonder if there was like a thing where maybe Breakin' 2 was going to be a completely different film and actually was going to carry on from Breakin' 1, but
Is it a
maybe
different director, does it say?
directed by Joel Silberg for the first one, and this one is Sam Fritzenberg,
Ah, that's why they're different movies. That's why they've got a different feel to them.
I guess.
You think maybe Breakin' to Electric Boogaloo was inspired by Breakin'?
No, because it's a sequel.
No, but obviously they had a different director, so it's not like
I don't know, man. I'm
directors
just
bring
maybe
different
that.
feels to movies.
All I'm trying to say is that I think that I mean, it might be. I'm just trying to. That I think maybe the reason people don't like this film is because they thought it might be closer to the first film, and it's like the fact that it kind of goes on this whole thing about saving a building and whatever is not what people wanted to see. Maybe. Final thoughts about Breakin' to Electric Boogaloo. Any final like encompassing words?
It's not,
on
not as bad as I thought it was.
Okay. And what about just this experience as a whole? I'm personally really glad that we've watched them now.
Yeah.
I feel like I've got like a pass now that I can say 2 Electric Boogaloo
Yeah.
and mean it, you know, because we say it all the time, but like
Yeah.
we haven't watched the films.
Yeah.
But now we have.
Yeah.
And now I have a superiority complex.
So if anyone makes a comment about it,
If
we're
anyone,
like, oh, well.
if anyone else
Yeah.
puts Electric Boogaloo in their title or they say it, I'm like,
Have you
doubt
seen
they've
the
actually seen the film.
movie?
Do you think now in the future we'll make references to the films themselves, or do you think they'll fade away from them? I think I will forget them.
I
will
think
say.
I will.
I think they're going to fade from my memory very quick.
Mm.
But at least I could say I have seen them.
Yeah.
I
Well,
guess like if someone said, "Hey, I'm thinking about watching this film," and you've watched it, would you recommend it? I'd be like, I mean, if you want. I wouldn't say stay
I'll
away.
be like, it's a fun movie. If you
Yeah,
wanna
it's
watch
fun
it, go
enough.
for it.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So that's our reviews of Breakin and Breakin 2 Electric Boogaloo, our one-off movie review.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll ever do any more of things like this. We might.
No, well, I mean, this is a special thing.
Yeah. Okay. Fair
Yeah.
enough. I mean, if there are other special films
Yeah.
that we need to watch.
Yeah.
Um.
We don't have plans to make a running thing though.
No.
But yeah, maybe one day. Anyway,
Yeah. There you go. All right.
that's our podcast. Bye
Yep. Bye.
bye.